We are here at CCW 26 in Las Vegas. I'm with my friend Latane. We are going to talk about some research that they just put into the market. And I have to be honest, there are some reports that I look at, and I'm gonna say it, it's a little bit like, so what? You didn't hold back. You have two reports, one that just came out. One looks at the general state of CX, the other's looking at what consumers are thinking and feeling right now. So I'm going to let you have the floor, Latane, but I guess my biggest question is, what did you learn through all of this? What surprised you, and how's it shaping what you and Parloa are doing next?
All right. So, yeah, let's get into it. We wanted to get to the heart of the matter, honestly. And so the first thing we did was we ran the largest mystery shopping study ever on the Fortune 2000. And the results of that were a little sad, honestly. We found 90-minute wait times. We found chatbots that the chatbots only worked 9% of the time. So that means 90% of the time they weren't working. So we found some pretty scary things on the mystery shopping side. Then we said, okay, great. We need to find out what actual consumers think. What do your customers think of the experience? So we ran this study called the Patience Index. And for me, I wanted to get to the bottom of, does customer experience impact loyalty? Because that unlock for us is huge, because then it's going from being a cost center to a revenue center. And I'm here to tell you, we found that it does. So 83% of consumers say that their customer service experience directly impacts loyalty. Directly. Many said that they cancel subscriptions immediately. 44% said a bad experience, they're done, they cancel immediately. Another 40% said that they will then actually tell friends and family about a poor experience. And 30% said they will take to social media. So this, to me, is some of the proof that we need to be able to say, hey, it's time. Let's revolutionize experience. And then that's the headlines, but some of the double clicks are also really interesting. People will repeat themselves once, and then they're done. People will wait 3 minutes, and then they're done. So we found some specifics about like where the inflection point is around consumer patience.
So I have a couple things I want to get maybe a little nitty gritty on. The first is the chat statistic, because this is a new technology, and it feels like we're 20 plus years into it and we are still getting it wrong. Why do you think that is?
So what we found is the chats were not conversational. So most of them were really still the same linear, rules-based, somewhat rigid flow. And so I think that's part of the problem. IVR fails most of the time too, because I don't know what press one is. I don't know if I need Jimmy and billing. I'm just trying to solve my problem. So I think that's part of it. And then the other part of it was that when an answer when there was a non-answer and we asked for a human, the routing failed every single time. So I think it's making those interfaces conversational. It would help a lot. And then second of all, like much, much better routing.
On the front of improving the experience, having tangible business impact, I think intrinsically most leaders, they understand that, but they still fail to act like that is true. If I was a leader watching this and you said, hey, it's defensible. If you improve the experience, it's not just about the cost, but it really is about all of those other impacts and points of relevance and value that you can deliver to the organization. If I know that to be true, but I've been failing to act on it, what's something that you would maybe recommend that I do?
So I think that the challenge has been that improving customer support and service was something that scaled linear with growth. And I think that we can break that curve. And we have a major technology advancement right now with AI. You have the opportunity now to literally give every one of your customers their own AI agent that knows them and has context, and they don't have to repeat themselves and all of those things. So we have some breakthrough technology, which is pretty cool. But even before getting to the breakthrough technology, I think it's a mindset shift of, is this a cost center or is this a revenue center? And a lot of that is, I think, how CX leaders show up. And I think you need to show up, and I'm in marketing, and it's very similar. If you show up with all the things that you did, we bought this technology, we did this, we did that, no one takes you seriously, So showing up and having much more direct tie to impact. So things like churn, things like lifetime value, things like intent data that leads to an upsell or a cross sell, starting to have the showing up with those kind of revenue driving metrics is one. And with AI, you can literally dive into every single conversation and mine for that gold. The other side of the equation is customer insights. So every board, every executive team is always looking for ground truth customer insights. And so think of the gold mine that the CX Center is sitting on top of. So showing up with the language of revenue and the things that you're doing and how they tie directly to revenue, and let's make that correlation strong. And then showing up with, hey, you think this is what's happening? We've proven this wrong. This is what the data is showing. True customer sentiment, truly where the journey breaks, because that's the stuff that investors care about, shareholders care about. So I think there's just like a way to present the work. Doesn't maybe change the work dramatically, but I think the work can be maybe marketed better.
Latane, this is the thing that makes me laugh and cry at the same time, because it's both. It's both. I mean, I look back, I remember writing a paper 15 years ago that talked about the cost center mindset versus how do you expand that. And here we are today, and still so many leaders, especially inside of the contact center, are in this fight for relevance and equity inside of their business. And I sit down and I talk to them, and they're trying to figure out, I feel like I'm doing the right things. But you hit on something that so many of them miss, and it's, are you able to translate what you look at in your little part of the organization into meaningful business impact? Can you speak the business of the business? And too many executives I speak to would say that no, they don't feel like it's relevant and meaningful. And it's not that it isn't, but it hasn't been presented in terms that are easily understood and feel relevant. And so I think there is this opportunity, and to your point, AI certainly unlocks it on new levels for me to have greater relevance inside of the business, for me to have maybe better opportunity to speak into and provide value to stakeholders throughout the organization. So that gets me really excited if we step into it. And I think that's the moment in time for so many leaders is this your opportunity to maybe make that career-defining move to finally show up and not just support your team, but support your broader organization. So that I think is where I sit.
Yeah, and so I feel like I just went through this on the marketing side, and honestly, the marketing organization and the CX organization have a lot of similarities. They're either majorly impactful or not taken seriously, and there's not a lot of in between. And one of the things is that the metrics that we had and the metrics that we could measure weren't interesting or impactful to the broader organization. And that wasn't necessarily our fault. That was the metric that we had. It was the MQL. I feel like the parallel that I draw in the CX Center is we have containment and deflection and average handle time. But this is what, they're not bad. It's what we have, right? You can't measure nothing, right? But now, holy smoke, there is an opportunity for AI to literally listen to every call and call, again, customer insights. I love the customer effort score, but it was just too hard to create. And so it didn't turn into anything. But we all know, oh, wow, that's really the right way to do it. And so now there are these ways, and the analytics that we're able to get, I think, is going to unlock the right story. And then I do think that the cost model is going to change dramatically. And the elephant in the room that is when anyone hears that, they think, oh, we're going to lay everyone off. That is not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is right now, in order to grow revenue, in order to invest more in customers, you have to expand headcount linear with that growth model. I think that curve will change. I do with AI. I also, there's a leaky bucket of talent. 40% of the call center turns over every year. That is huge cost, y'all. The cost of recruiting, the cost of hiring, the cost of onboarding, the cost of those people not showing up, maybe showing up. And so even just saying, hey, let's keep the best people, the most talented people, and let's even reskill them to be like managers of AI. And while that curve plays out, that's the efficiency that I think you can really start to capture. And so I think it's important we also address the elephant in the room with this transformation.
Here's my last question for you. And for those of you checking this out, we'll link to the reports we've been talking about so you can dig in more. But what was maybe the one thing across either report that surprised you or maybe was most compelling as you looked at all of the findings?
I was surprised that more people weren't adopting AI technology. Now, one could say I'm in an AI bubble. I work at Parloa. This is what we do. It's all we talk about. And so I was just surprised at how early we are. And then that also makes me excited because that's the opportunity. And there's a big gap between what customers expect and want and what we're delivering. And that gap is an opportunity. And first I was kind of bummed, and then I was like, okay, we got to get to work.
We do have to get to work. This is the opportunity. And I hope a lot of people feel that. I think in the biggest thing probably circulating for a lot of people right now is just this uncertainty of what's next. And I think rather than fear, really do look at it as an opportunity to get to work, to ask questions about why do we do things the way we always have, whether it's metrics, whether it's our perception inside of the organization. There is so much opportunity for every single leader right now to step into if they choose to. It is still early days. It's going to require experimentation. It's going to require collaboration. But I love there's this one quote that talks about change, and it talks about courageous patience. I think that's the biggest thing for leaders right now, Latane, is to have courageous patience as you step into bringing, whether it's AI or just change to your organization. Again, I thought the report was really meaningful, provided some really great data points, and I really do hope people jump into it and learn more. Latane, before we kind of close things up, any last things that you'd want to say?
Yeah, so I was on the women's panel here, and the title of the panel was Closing the AI Knowledge Gap for Women. And I just want to say, I don't think that there is a knowledge gap. I think that there is a confidence gap, and that's not just for women. That's just in general. And to get knowledgeable is actually not that hard because it's so new. And I would say, let's invest in getting this industry and this market confident. And one of the things that we try to do is we run these workshops. We did one here where everybody creates an AI agent. They create a support agent that can speak any language and tell jokes or whatever they want their agent to do. But it just gets them say, oh, I know how to design conversations. I know how a flow works, and it's natural language. And then all of a sudden it's like this, aha, wow, this isn't this weird, scary thing. I can do this. And I am convinced that there is huge career opportunities. The person who says, I am going to be the CX architect, I'm going to be the agent architect, I am going to be the AI orchestrator, you're going to have huge scale, huge impact, huge earning potential. And that's right there at all of our, you don't need a degree. You don't need a ton of schooling. You just have to get going. And that's cool.
I love it. We all just need a little bit more confidence. We need some better exposure to what the capabilities are, and then the sky's the limit. Latane, thank you so much. We're here at CCW Las Vegas 2026. Really cool report. I've said this 300 times because, again, thoroughly impressed by kind of what you and the team discovered. Excited to see what comes out next. Thanks for watching. Check out the link below to learn more.